Hey guys, welcome back to a fresh vid. I hope you're all doing well and are getting a lot of gaming time in. In today's episode, we have some more items to take a look at that I've acquired over the past few months, so let's check them out. We'll start off with some love for the PS4. First up is a copy of Ghost of Tsushima. This was released back on the 17th of July by Sucker Punch Productions, which was the studio behind the iconic Sly Cooper and Infamous series. But as for Ghost, I picked up a collector's edition on launch day, but I didn't end up opening it or playing the game for about 3 weeks. And I wish I did play it sooner, as this has turned out to be one of my favourite titles this year. I've had an absolute blast playing through Ghost, as I think Sucker Punch did a great job in all areas with this game. Graphically, it looks stunning. Exploration was easy and straightforward with a map that wasn't overly large. Great gameplay that I found extremely addictive, with some insanely fun combos and skills that you can acquire as you progress. The ability to completely customize the looks of your character, and a brilliant combat system that makes you feel like a total badass as you just slice your way through opponents with amazing style and perform parries which leave your enemies open to brutal counterattacks. So much fun. If you've wanted a samurai game, this is the one you've been waiting for. Next up is a remake of a PS1 game that had a big impact on me as a gamer in the late 90s. It is the Medieval remake. When this was announced at the PlayStation Experience late 2017, and when I saw the trailer for the first time, I was literally jumping around my lounge room screaming, borderline almost crying, as I couldn't believe Sir Dan was finally making a comeback. And then fast forward to the remake's release back in October of 2019, it certainly didn't disappoint me, and it was everything I could have hoped for, as the developers Other Ocean and Maryville, I hope I pronounced that right, did a great job of bringing Medieval into the modern era, but still stuck with what made the original so good. They kept the original voice actors, the Night Before Christmas atmosphere was still there, and that was one of the things they really needed to get right, as that's what Medieval's known for. The level design didn't stray too far away from the original, and the music was revamped, but still followed that impactful OST that the first game had. Hell, even the camera was a little twitchy at times. Whether or not that was intentional, I don't know, but again, just like the original version. This remake was a complete trip down late 1990s nostalgia lane for me, and I had a smile on my face the entire time I played it. Other Ocean and Maryville and SIE, thank you for giving us Medieval fans more of Sir Dan. It was awesome. The next title I've picked up is The Last of Us Part 2. Now, hasn't this certainly caused a rift in the Last of Us community? It seems with this game you're on one of two sides. You either like it or you don't like it. Now, I'm just going to be 100% real with you guys. I didn't like the story, and I will try to give you my reasoning for why I didn't really enjoy it as much as I thought I would. Basically, the story for me fell short. Now, this is just my opinion, it doesn't speak for anyone else, but I felt the story just didn't tie the game together as well as the story did in the first game. Going into part 2, I felt really connected with the characters from the first game. I just wanted to see more of them, just more of Joel and Ellie. And from the trailers we received from Naughty Dog, that looked like what we were going to get. Instead, what I received was the complete opposite. A beloved icon of the series was killed off in an extremely brutal way. Remaining characters were turned into bitter and hateful people. New characters were introduced, but it was done the wrong way. It just felt forced, and while playing the game, I just didn't care about them. Now, I do understand what Naughty Dog was going for with part 2. They wanted to show the cycle of violence and how a person's actions can have major and long-lasting emotional effects on others. But I just think they could have gone about doing that without pushing away the original cast of characters and having the story play out like it did. However, there are parts of this game I really enjoyed. Graphically, it is completely insane, and it just looks crazy on a PS4 Pro, with the gameplay being really enjoyable and much more refined from what the first game offered. And as for atmosphere, it's one of the best I've experienced this generation. But as mentioned, I just felt the story fell short for me, and ultimately that's what Naughty Dog needed to get right, especially with a flagship title such as this. Something a little different now, these items are early 2000s PC related. It is 2 sealed Diablo II action figures. Certainly not the types of items I normally look for when out game hunting, but when I stumbled across these two, I made an exception. As growing up when I was heavily into PC gaming, I was a huge fan of Diablo II, and I would even go as far to say as Diablo II is one of my favourite games of all time. I spent years playing D2 after its original release back in the year 2000, with hundreds of hours spent in-game, replaying the campaign, looking for set equipment and creating all different types of characters. I was just so absorbed by Diablo 2 and I loved everything about it. But as far as these two figures go, it's been a little tricky to find information on them. From what I have gathered, these are part of a set that looks to be rather old, as on the back of the packaging you can see Blizzard advertising, telling the customers to keep an eye out for more of their award-winning games, such as the original Diablo, StarCraft and Warcraft 2 in a traditional big box format which hasn't been around for a long time. And it's really cool to see adverts like that because it just takes me back to my childhood where all I cared about was coming home from school, playing video games and just not having a care in the world. But if anybody has any information about these figures, let me know in the comments below. I really want to find out more about them and maybe even try and find the complete set. And last up is a recent title. It's a copy of Star Wars Squadrons. Now obviously I was very hesitant about picking up an EA published game, but coming off the back of Jedi Fallen Order, which was really good, I 100% at that one, got the Platinum Trophy, really enjoyed it. I decided to give Squadrons a chance and it pleases me to say, this is a great game that hasn't been EA-ified, so no microtransactions, no loot boxes, just a single player campaign along with multiplayer. Albeit the single player campaign's a little bit short, I think it's about 6 to 8 hours long, and it hasn't got the largest variety of multiplayer maps. However, the game's price tag of $60 here in Australia reflects that. So it's very fair, and it's still a solid experience that provides me with everything I would want from a space combat game that's based in the Star Wars universe. So that's two good Star Wars games published by EA in a row. Maybe they've picked up their game a little bit with their Star Wars license after the train wreck that was Battlefront and Battlefront 2. Who knows? Fingers crossed. Well, that brings us to the end of today's video. So let me know in the comments down below what you've picked up recently and what have you been playing. Myself, I just finished Ghost of Tsushima and now I'm playing through Star Wars Squadrons. I really need to get out my PSVR and check out the VR mode on that one. It does look pretty good. Anyway guys, as always, keep that positivity flowing and I'll see you next time with more PlayStation content.